Picture the most respected prize on the planet, a gold medal, a handshake from a king. A pre-dawn phone call that rewrites a scientist's whole life. They say it stands for one thing: the greatest benefit to humankind. That's the beautiful line on the surface. But beneath the most idealistic prize in history, another machine is quietly humming. A fortune built on explosives. A one-page will nobody saw coming. And an investment fund that, for 50 years, slowly, politely ran out of money. Behind the medal for serving humanity is an accountant sweating over a spreadsheet. Let's follow the money. Meet Alfred Nobel. Swedish, brilliant, spoke 6 languages, and absurdly rich. He held 355 patents. But only one made his name a household word: dynamite. And he wasn't just the king of explosives. Late in life, he bought a steelworks called Bofors and turned it into one of Europe's largest arms makers. Add the family's oil money in Baku, and Alfred sat on one of the largest private fortunes of the age. Now the story everyone loves to tell. In 1888, Alfred's brother died. And supposedly a French newspaper mixed them up and printed the obituary of Alfred himself. The headline: "The Merchant of Death is dead." Legend says Alfred read his own obituary, was horrified, and resolved to fix his legacy. A story too perfect, and most likely not true. Because historians went looking. And nobody found that newspaper. The phrase Merchant of Death only showed up decades later, about anyone at all. And the Nobel Foundation itself never tells this obituary story. So let's not pretend to read a dead man's mind. What we can read is his will. In 1895, in a club in Paris, Alfred signed a will just 1 page long. No lawyer, under 1,000 words. And in those words, he gave away 94% of his fortune, not to family, to strangers. To anyone each year who brings the greatest benefit to humankind. His relatives were, to put it gently, not thrilled. The will nearly collapsed. The family wanted to sue. So Alfred's young executor, Ragnar Solman, did something delightfully sneaky. He quietly gathered the whole fortune, mostly bonds sitting in Paris, and rushed it to Sweden before any court could freeze it. The most solemn prize on earth began with a young man almost smuggling the very money to safety. And here's the key line, the quiet one that runs everything. Alfred didn't say give the money away. He said invest the capital in safe securities. Lock the fortune away forever. And hand out only the interest. In other words, Alfred Nobel didn't create a prize. He created an investment fund that happens to throw a party every December. At first, all went well. In 1901, the first prizes were awarded. Each won 150,000 kroner, a staggering sum, more than 20 years of a professor's salary. Then the slow leak began. Remember that magic word, safe, sounds so responsible. But safe meant dull bonds and sleepy real estate, low yields. Meanwhile, 2 world wars chewed through the value of money, plus taxes. And here's the priceless detail. The fund built to honor humanity's finest minds was, for many years, the single largest taxpayer in all of Sweden. Picture the absurd bind. The most prestigious prize on the planet. And every year its real cash value shrank a little. The prestige went up, the bank balance went down. By the early 1950s, the fund had withered to a fraction of its start. The prize that money built was running out of money. So the foundation did the only thing it could. It went to the government, hat in hand, and asked for 2 favors. First favor, please stop taxing us. Granted in 1946. Second favor, and this is the real twist, let us break Alfred's safe rule. Let us buy stocks. In the early 1950s, they got their wish. And the world's noblest prize quietly became a stock investor. Stocks, real estate, later even hedge funds. The fortune that shrank for 50 years finally began to grow, and grow. By the 1980s, it was multiplying fast. And the real value of the prize. It didn't fully recover until 1991. 90 years to climb back to the starting line, and today, by the Nobel Foundation's own description, it's basically an investment company. About half the money sits in stocks, the rest in bonds and other assets. When markets crash, the prize money really can be cut, like in 2012, down 20%. When markets soar, it climbs back. In 2025, a full prize is 11 million kroner. So the pre-dawn phone call, the handshake from a king, the gold medal, all of it floats on the quiet performance of a portfolio. And here's the part that makes me smile. The fortune that started it all came from explosives and weapons. Yet today's foundation has an ethics policy and refuses to invest in controversial weapons companies. Read that again. An explosives fortune that won't touch weapons stocks. And that's the pattern, isn't it? We like to believe the things we revere float above the money. Prizes, honors, pure ideas. But almost always, beneath the beautiful line, someone is running a fund, balancing a budget, making sure the ideal can still afford to feed itself. Alfred Nobel wanted to reward the greatest benefit to humankind, and he did. It's just that the thing nobody engraves on the medal is this: benefit to humankind every year still has to clear a few accountants. The prize is there to honor genius. The fund just has to make sure genius gets